just a few minutes.
I've just started the recording here, Dave, so we're recording now.
Okay, good. I just want to record it at this end because we'll get a better quality recording. Okay, let's do that out of the way. Dave will be online to monitor your questions. He's probably already told you that. Let's get this up and running. My name's Dave Kite, and I work with Dave Lyons, and we produce Doodle ads. And the purpose of today is to talk about copy. So we're in the copy clinic here, so let's get started. Right, marketing is all about traffic and conversion. So whatever strategy you use to create visitors, the person ultimately will end up consuming some form of your copy. Now that might be a video, that might be a landing page, that might be a direct marketing piece, but at the end of the day it will be a piece of copy. Now here's the good news: you don't need to get great at creating good copy. You just have to know what it looks like, but more importantly you must have it. So you need to get good copy done, but you need to recognize when you have good copy on your website. So I want to paint a couple of scenarios to start off with. Imagine you're at a party and you're in a crowded room and it's very noisy. You're talking with people around you. You have filters. You're ignoring most of what's going on in the room. And then something happens. Someone mentions your name, and somehow, doesn't matter where you are in the room, you pick that up. What happens then? Now you're looking. Who said that? What are they talking about? What are they talking about you? And immediately they have your attention, even though they didn't intend to. And you strain to hear what they're talking about you, and your focus is no longer on your immediate neighbors. Well, again, paint another picture here. Picture yourself walking along a street. Again, it's a busy street. There's cars going by, you're going by shops, there's advertising going on around you, people all around you, and you filter it. You ignore everything, except maybe crashing into somebody, the dangers of walking across the road, and then someone shouts your name. In an instant, you spin round. They have your attention. Now, that is the goal of your copy, is to grab attention. In an ideal world, you could use your prospect's name if you had it, and the reason why you would do that is the most personal possession that they have, their name. If somebody mentions your name, you spin round. Your attention is grabbed. So if we can't use the name, then what we want to do is actually create the emotional situation that matches their situation. So if I can't use their name, I want to attract their attention by painting pictures. Now, before I go on, I want some copywriters or some marketers will talk about creating avatars. I'm not a great fan of creating avatars, and I'll tell you why now. If I could paint a picture of an avatar of a 45-year-old middle-aged man, he's got a mortgage, 2 cars, married, 2 kids, he is in a job he hates, he's stuck, he wants to get out, he really wants to be a drummer, and this is a picture that maybe a guy like Frank Kern would paint that would enable him to talk to that particular poor person. If I paint a picture of another person, like a 21-year-old young lady who has just finished university and she's looking to do volunteer work. Now, those are 2 completely different people, but they could have the same situation. They could both be desperate for money to do what they want to do. Now, you can talk to a situation to different people, but if you focus on a 45-year-old middle-aged man, you might switch off a 21-year-old young lady. So I prefer situations than avatars. With a situation, I can talk to people with different ages, with different genders. They could be located different places in the world. They could be completely different class, or have different careers, philosophies, or religion. But they could all have the same situation. So I'm looking for situations. Now, Doodle ads tell stories, and your marketing should too. I'm going to demonstrate in this webinar the art of storytelling and the copy formula that we use. I'm going to use, for some examples, some of the video scripts we use. At this point in time, you might be saying, well, that doesn't apply to me. Well, some might think this, well, or it's not relevant to me, or I don't need a video script, or I'm not using video, or I already have video. Well, that would be a mistake, and I'd like you not to make it, because the principles and the formulas and the psychology we use in creating scripts applies to all copy. It's been developed by us by studying some of the great teachers, by some of the great direct copy marketers of all times, the Gary Halberts, the Dan Kennedys, the J. Abrahams, and then the earlier ones, the Ogilvies, etc. Now this applies, the psychology applies here to headlines in websites, subject lines in emails. It could be a direct marketing printed piece of material. It could be a Facebook page, it could be an AdWord campaign. What you're looking for is to lead with pain. Over the last 18 months, we've used this formula to create in excess of 300 video scripts. But what we do is we generate stories. Now, I want to talk to you about the greatest sales letter of all time. Some of you may have heard me talk about this in the past. It's a story of two young men returning to their college reunion, and basically the story says that one was the president of the company, the other was just a manager in one of the divisions. They both had the same aspirations, they both left with the same qualifications, and the implication was that one did something that the other didn't. This sales letter generated over $2 billion for the Wall Street Journal, and it ran for 20 years. Now this piece of material, this marketing piece, was split tested time and time again. It's what's called a control. So the sales letter was the control, and then they generated new versions of the marketing and tested it, and the one that ran stayed the control. Now for 20 years, this piece was never beaten. So storytelling really, really works. A lot of people, a lot of business owners struggle with storytelling, and that's quite understandable because most of your day is involved with creating, delivering your products and your services, and it's what you want. You want to sell your products and your services, and so you are product and service focused, but that's not necessarily what your client is looking for. Your prospects have pains problems that they want solved. So this is what we will develop during this webinar. So to cater for that, when we talk to our clients, when we're generating a video script for them, we ask 5 fairly simple questions. What we ask is, who are you talking to, and what is their situation? How do they feel right now? How do you want them to feel after the video? Because we're talking about a video script. What is your offer? Little typo there. And what do you want them to do right now after they've finished watching the video? So I'll expand on that. So the first question, who is your target audience? Now, a big mistake that a lot of companies make is that they think that their product is generic. For instance, Doodle ads can be used by anyone. We can create a video for anyone, and our marketing could reflect that. Now, we could market to everybody, anybody and everybody, but that would probably be a big mistake because we then can't focus. What would be better plan is to focus on a particular sector, for instance, web designers or accountants, but look for something where you can leverage. So doing one bit of marketing can lead to you leveraging other pieces. Like, for instance, if we market to web designers, we might sell videos to market to web designers, but on the other hand, we can also get web designers to sell on our behalf as well by offering affiliate commissions. So if we say we focus on accountants, I can scale the same video, I can sell it time and time again. More importantly though, I can produce relevant copy. My copy can be focused. I can talk about accountants' problems and not be general. You can use the word you a lot. Instead of being general and say they or people, I can try to connect with the one person that's reading my copy. So have a clear picture of who you are marketing to, and when if you market to everyone, remember you're marketing to no one. There's a great internet marketer by the name of Armin Moore, and he's done somewhere in the region of $100 million worth of online sales. He suggests that you try to create 30 landing pages. So for instance, a Doodle landing page could be created for accountants, for web designers, for SEO companies, or solicitors. Now each of those web pages will have a different message. It will address some of the problems that accountants have. It will have, so similarly for web designers, the story I tell when I talk to web designers will be different. I want the visitors to come and feel that this particular page is just for them, that I am talking not to everybody, but just to their market sector. And each landing page would be created with a completely different message. Now, if we move on to the second question, by the way, if anybody wants to ask questions today, feel free to pipe up and ask the questions on their behalf.
Yeah, I'm answering a few as I go along.
Okay. The second question is, how are your prospects feeling right now? I can't emphasize this enough. We all buy emotionally, even if we sell business to business. Understand we are selling emotionally. People have pains and problems. If you can identify those pains and problems and create your marketing that accentuates those feelings, then you're halfway, you're more than halfway there. So if you are, for instance, let's take just a simple example of a bookkeeper. Now you could create marketing that said, we do bookkeeping, we work 9 till 5, there are plenty of us, we specialize in dentists. Great. That marketing is talking about your wants, your sales, and what you do. Now if you switch that and thinking about the person who could use the bookkeeping services, you can start to focus on things like, are you struggling with time? Are you feeling overwhelmed? Do you realize that that bookkeeping is not a great use of the business owner's time? Although you need to know your numbers, you don't physically need to do the work. This is something you can get done cheaper than hopefully what you're charging per hour for your time. You're better off creating marketing, you're better off creating sales. Bookkeeping is a cost. So by focusing on the overwhelm, the frustration, the being annoyed that every month you have to produce your books. Personally, it's one of the first things I got rid of in my businesses. Every time I start, I luckily just hand it across to my wife. She's a different character to me. I can't stand doing expenses. So what's their pain? And try to use graphical language. So the example I give is the difference between big and enormous is huge. So big is a pretty generic. Enormous gives you some feeling. Look for graphical language. Let's take another example. Are you suffering from a bad back? Well, that's just a simple question. You could expand that by saying, is your bad back crippling you? Or let's go for even more emotional triggers. If you've got young children, is your back so bad that you can no longer lift your children? That last one has so much more emotion involved because it's something you want to do and your bad back is stopping you. So the more graphic, and I'm not talking about using complicated language, I want you to use more emotional language. You need to understand that pain outsells aspiration around 5 to 1. So I can wait a week for my new Ferrari, but I want my back pain fixed today. Right, this is something I see on websites. It used to be a really big problem. That the first thing people say when they arrive on their website is welcome. Well, guess what? I don't believe in that. I don't want my visitors to feel welcome. I want them to relive their biggest pain, and I want them to start reliving that pain in the first few seconds that they read my marketing. I don't want them to feel welcome. I want them to feel uncomfortable. I want to trigger the emotions of the problems that they're trying to solve. And your job is to recreate those emotions. And you need to recreate that pain as emotionally as you can, because your job is to fix that pain. People won't buy your stuff because one of three reasons. They don't need your offer, they can't afford your offer, or they don't trust you or your solution, so they don't know you. So your job is to build trust. The third question, how do you want them to feel after they've seen your solution? Do you want them to feel relieved, excited, enlightened? So you have to marry up how they feel before with how you want them to feel afterwards. But the only emotion that you really need to generate is, I want your solution. That's where you're heading for. We don't buy what we need, we buy what we want. And Dave on the line here is a smoker. He doesn't need to smoke, he wants to smoke. I'm still trying to work on him. Okay, fourth question, what is your offer? That's a good idea before you start any marketing to know what your offer is. You want to know where you're heading and what the end result is. And the last question of the 5 is, what do you want them to do right now? What do you want them to do right now? Ask for the sale. Now the sale, most people don't ask for the sale. Now, the sale might not necessarily be to physically pay money. The sale could be to get them to opt in to your report or for extra videos, or it could be to buy what you're selling. Your call to action should be, the next step is, and I want you to take this because, reiterate the benefits that you're going to get. Understand that if you finish, say, a script or a video that with the line, pick up the phone and give us a call, most people realize that when they call somebody, the chances are they're going to talk to somebody who is a skilled salesperson. So they really need to be convinced that they actually want to buy it. So picking up the phone may appear to be a small step. In actual fact, you really need to be pretty sold on your solution before you take that next step. A smaller step might be fill in the form below to download the X reasons why, or the 5 mistakes that most people make. And I'll talk a little bit more about mistakes coming up. So here I'm now going to talk to you about the structure for your story, or a potential.
Dave, just before we go on to that, could you just pop back to the 5?
We're going to start with problems. Yeah.
Just pop back to the 5 questions quickly, because you skipped on and a few people have said didn't get a chance to write them down.
Okay, let's go back here.
There was only a couple behind.
Oh, what?
Oh, I've really messed it up now. I knew I should have stayed out of it.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what the 5 questions are. The 5 questions is, who is your target customer? I'll find it a second. Jump in and tell me to slow down in the future. No. Oh, there you go. No, first question. There you go. 5 questions. Let's file that up. Right. Who are you talking to? What is their situation? How do they feel right now? How do you want them to feel after the video? What is you offer? What is your offer? What do you want them to do right now?
Cool, thank you.
Now I've got to find out where I was. Right. Okay. So we start off. I'll just take a drink a sec. Yeah, we start off with the problem. What is the problem that your client has, your prospect has right now? And then the next step is to agitate that problem using more graphical language. So create a scenario, and by agitating, you could bring other people in. So whereas some people may not have a problem for one reason, you can add a couple more reasons which are slightly different, and you're looking for the perfect reason that your prospect will connect with the problems that they're experiencing. Then you can offer your solution, and maybe suggest other solutions that exist in the industry, and why it may not be a great idea to go for those solutions. Why is your solution better? Then you want to start offering proof. Remember, we're looking to build trust. Then you're looking to develop social proof, as in others have used your products before or your services before, and what you're looking for in the social proof, you might be looking to give some form of guarantee. Ultimately, you want to get to the point where you make an offer, and after you've made the offer, repeat the benefit. Okay, and finally, you want to end up with a call to action. So that what I'll do is I will email you all out a link. I'll copy these onto a page on our website, and send you all a link on how to get the questions and this little model here. Okay, so supposing you've created your marketing. Remember now, the objective is not necessarily to create good copy, it's to be able to recognize good copy. So if you've paid somebody to create copy for you, it's a good idea to read through it, and for each paragraph, summarize that paragraph in a single word. Is it a pain? Is it the solution? Is it proof? Social proof and call to action, they're one words if you take out the spaces. But go through and summarize each paragraph using one word in square brackets underneath, and then you can quickly flick through and see and identify the flow of what you're doing. Remember, we're looking for some form of pain, some form of solution, proof, offer, call to action. I'm going to now give a couple of quick examples. Ian Jackson sells shoe inserts. He's got a practice online. He creates shoe inserts, and he sells them for £300 plus per pop, not £5 from Boots. Now, Ian could say, buy my shoe inserts. Most people will respond, what I need? Problem is they don't realise they probably need one. For instance, the pain caused by poorly supported feet manifests back, hip, knee, ankle pain, or some muscular problems. So Ian needs to market to sufferers of back pain, hip pain, knee pain, and ankle pain, and suggest that the solution might be that your feet are poorly supported. So you really need to pop in to his clinic, and they will do some tests to see how well your feet are positioned. For an example, Henry Ford might have said, if Henry Ford had asked his customers what do they want, they would have replied, we need faster horses. They don't understand what opportunities or what the problems are. So you need to focus on problems, not what you're selling. Because if Henry Ford had said, buy my car, he wouldn't have sold many. Now, I don't know whether Dave, is Nick on the line today?
Yes, he is. Yeah, and he's put his. I've got a few people that put their sites forward to have a critique of, so he's game for it.
Do you want to try? Do you want to ask Nick? Do you want to try and enable Nick's voice?
Yeah.
You there, Nick?
Nick. Ruddle. There we go.
You there, Nick?
I certainly am. How you doing?
You're not too bad. You didn't know you were going to be the star of the show, did you?
Oh, put me on the blooming spot. Here we go. That's all right. Don't
Yeah.
worry. Bring it on.
Right. When I was going to tell you a quick story, because stories work. You know, it's always better to tell a story. When I was creating the video for you, I went onto your site, and you had something on there that I thought I was completely compelled. I had to opt into your list. Yeah. And you said the 5 biggest mistakes business owners make and how to avoid them. I just had to download your report. The sad thing is that here's your website here.
That's
It's
my
down
website.
here.
Yeah, I don't do anything with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is an example. Okay, this one's not relevant now, but here is a great example. Now that to me made me opt in. Yeah. You could have put it over here and given me the reason why I needed to opt in to download the report. Also, that line there, as a headline, it's probably a really good idea these days because people are used to seeing video. I don't know why it's spinning like this. It's probably my Firefox needs updating. People are used to seeing videos, and now you have to reinforce the reason why somebody wants to click on your video. So it's a good idea to have a really good pain-filled headline above your video.
I think it's fair to say, Dave, as we know, that Nick, as you say, doesn't really use this site anymore, and he's taken that, and in the new website, the business-profit-club and things, he's got those headlines there above the video, and he's taken those pain elements and put it out. So just wanted to, put that out there.
Absolutely, but sorry, Nick, I'm just using a website of yours as a demonstration to everybody on what they could do. I love this. I don't know who wrote this, but when I came onto it, I'm a business owner, and nobody wants to make mistakes. And I think that, well, for me, most times I can ignore what's on most people's websites when I go to visit. But that resonated with me, and I wanted it. Didn't have to have it. I wanted it. Yeah. So look for ways that you can generate that feeling that I have to have that.
I think it's important to have a video that works on your website as well.
Yeah. No, I think your video does work. I think I'm putting it down. I'll take full blame for my Firefox being knackered.
Yeah, I think it's sometimes it does sort of spool around like that, but sometimes it comes up straight away. But it's something to do with my video, maybe the fact that we're on a webinar as well that's taken up a lot of bandwidth. Yeah.
Okay. Is there any questions that you want to ask whilst you're on now?
No, I think we're going to do a lot of work off the back of this anyway. I want my whole story looked at, and the real emotional triggers is the key part of that, and the psychology behind it to really get people to want to take action and for it to really hit the spot. Because I'm getting opt-ins, not as many as I want. I'm getting a lot of traffic. I'm not necessarily getting the conversions at the moment. And when they go through my automated autoresponder, they're not converting on the sales page either. So I'm obviously missing a trick. I'm not really hitting those emotional triggers that you talk about, which is what I want you to help me with. Yeah.
Absolutely, and following this, we will be looking at. But we focus on. I mean, Dave will tell you that one of the things I keep asking is how they feel. How do they feel? How do they feel? What's the problem? How do they feel? And a mistake that quite a lot of people make when they are selling B2B is they think, well, I'm selling business to business. Emotion is not an emotional sell. It's still an emotional sell, even if selling business to business. I like the line is that there is not a company in the world that has ever bought anything. People in the company buy things, and people buy emotion, and that's it. Companies don't buy stuff. People do.
I'm going to take Nick off the spot now because we did put him on the spot there, and we've still got a bit to get through, and we're overrunning. Yeah. Cheers, Nick.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Okay, Dave. Are you still there?
Yes. Have you got a couple more examples to go through?
Hello, Dave.
Hello.
No. I'm on the question section. Hello, you there?
Yes. Did you go through the?
Dave, you there?
Yes, somebody wanted to go through the steps where you said pain solution. Um, uh, just to run through that section again, it's like, do you start off with the pain point and then do you solve that problem straight away, or do you bring people in further?
If you have the opportunity to bring them in further, it's a great idea. I don't know whether I'm just going to fire up a quick script here. This is one for an SEO script. So you might start with Google is an amazing place. So you're painting a picture of how powerful and great Google is, but then you want to start selling some pain. Here's this opportunity. Are you missing it? Does Google is answering 34,000 questions every second, and are the solutions to those directing people to your website? So we start off with pain. And then you need to emphasize it a bit more. If you've got a website and people land on your website, actually, do you realize that 75% of people that land on your web page don't scroll? Well, that may then lead you into looking at your web page and say, okay, so what's above the fold? What will they see if they don't scroll? And a lot of people are then horrified by the fact that actually all of their message is below some pretty innocuous graphic that does nothing. So you start selling pain, you start adding additional scenarios, because the first pain that you might sell might not connect with the person. So if you do 2 or 3, it's a great idea to try and identify the biggest pain, and then the next biggest pain, and the next biggest pain, and paint them in. But you can't do all of them. You can't spend the entire 90 seconds of a video talking about pain, because you just have to pick a subset, and ideally be very focused to that particular market sector. I don't know if that helps. Does that help? So what I would do on this script is go in and put a square bracket underneath. So I'd just say pain. And this one again would be more pain. And I would go underneath one and start saying solution, etc. And I would go through and identify all of those different one-word answers and analyze what I'm doing in terms of the flow. So I can look at, I say, pain, solution, social proof, guarantee, etc. Does that make sense?
Yes. Well, we've also got a question here that says, how long and what is the process? How long does it take you to identify so if you're, I'm adding to the question here, but assuming you're dealing with a new business, they're selling blue widgets. How long does it take you to identify what the pain is, and what's your process for doing so?
Again, sort of reiterating what I've just said, you can't be exhaustive. So the good thing to do is to identify the main pains. And if you have a lot of different pains, well, then split them up into separate pieces of marketing. So, for instance, if we sell Doodle ads, the pain for an accountant will be different from the pain from a web designer, will be different from the pain from somebody else. They're all looking to create marketing materials, but our selling to them will talk about their customers. So if it doesn't need to be too long, it just has to be focused, and the more focused you can be, if you can find that one question that gets most people going, then for instance, Ian with his big feet, he might have several sections.
Big feet, I love that.
He could say, do you have pain in your back? Yes, good feet rather, yeah. So you could have one piece of marketing material and be lazy and say, do you have back pain, hip pain, leg pains, ankle pains? Or you could put a little bit more effort in and separate a video for back pain and ankle pain, and drive traffic from a pay-per-click campaign that is, do you have ankle pain, to go to a web page that has ankle pain. And the more that you refine the whole thing down to ankle pain in one landing page and back pain in another page. The more that you're shouting out that person's name, remember, we're trying to get across a crowded room and shout the name, and the name in this case is the situation. And if you do loads, then you muddy the water. You get back into the crowded room and noisy room, and the chance of that name being called across is missed. You're better off putting a little bit more effort on and dividing it up.
Yeah, I think that's a really strong point, is that when we've done Doodle ads and for people and scripts, and they want to try and solve all the problems. I'll take a good example as an accountant who want to let people know that we do tax, we do bookkeeping, we do VAT returns, we do inheritance tax, we do everything. And if you try to do everything on your homepage, then you've missed the point. And what we recommend is you have a specific web page with a specific headline that says, you know, are you worried that you've been paying too much tax? Has your tax bill bankrupted you or whatever? Has your VAT bill, that's a difficult one, income tax, whatever. But a specific page for each specific problem, and a headline for that specific problem. And then when you take that onto AdWords or to SEO, you're doing those individual things, because it's a very specific problem that people have. So don't try and do everything in one. But to focus on one individual problem. There might be 30 of them, but that's great because you want to speak to 30 distinct groups. Got another question here that's a good one, because I know you've got an answer, I think, from Dan Kennedy on this. But Charlotte Walker's asked, what is better, long copy or short copy?
Yeah. Okay, imagine you're going in. Imagine you're going in. Dan Kennedy describes copy as salesmanship in print. And I'm coming in to see you, Dave, and I'm going to sell you a video. And I do my 30 seconds. It does this, this, and this, and this, and I've got potentially another half an hour to tell you, and I just stop. Well, I want to know more. No, I've just given you. I've been told it's better to keep it short, so I'm not going to tell you anymore. You go, huh? Copy. You need to provide copy with people, enough copy that as much as they want. So if you do short copy and somebody wants more, they can't get it. If somebody, and here this is really, really important, that when you create copy, you should have what's called a dual readership. So basically you have, if we take a printed piece of copy, you might have 2 or 3 pages worth of copy, and then every 3 or 4 lines you have a sub-headline, and that sub-headline could be a series of, could be your short copy. So people can scan read and read 6 sub-headlines in a complete story, but then each paragraph between the sub-headline also needs to be complete in its own right. So if somebody goes headline, subhead, and get to the 4th one and say, oh, that's me, that's interesting to me, I then need to read that paragraph, but that paragraph needs to mean to make sense in its own right. So you can intermix short copy and long copy by using bold subheadlines, which are slightly bigger, so people can just quickly scan through, read short copy, and if they then decide that's of interest, they'll go back and read the long copy. But you have to provide enough for what they need. Does that make sense? Are you there, Dave?
Sorry, I've been chatting away with my mute button on. Hopefully that answers your question, Charlotte. We've had a similar question from Marva that says, is less more on a website front page as in the process of creating your website? And I think the same thing applies. You want enough content to engage the viewer and to get them to take the next step, but not too much that they get lost in it and it disappears and takes them off the point. I don't think you specifically said this, but the quote that you said to me a few months ago from Dan Kennedy is long copy or short copy. It's long enough to get the point across and get them to take action. From a video point of view, we have found, because we've got 350 odd videos that have been on YouTube and clients and so on, and the YouTube analytics are fantastic. And we've found that the magic window is between 60 and 90 seconds. Anything shorter than 60 seconds, and you haven't had a chance to engage people emotionally enough. You've started that process, but they're not deeply committed enough. Whereas beyond 90 seconds, people start to waver. So the YouTube analytics tell us that that length of time for a video is the optimum time to get people hooked in, get your call to action out there, and get them to take the next step and understand what you're about. But some things take longer. Yes, perfect.
Dave, I want to just jump in there and say the most important part of your copy is your headline, because whether you've got long copy or short copy, unless your headline engages people at the start, 80% of your copy is in your headline. So one of the things that several of the copywriters have talked about is doing 20 headlines, and just do headline after headline after headline, and you'll probably find in the 18th, 19th, or 20th headline that you write will be the one that goes, that's the one. Because what happens is you write more and more headlines, you get more and more into the thinking, and towards the end you'll suddenly go, that's the one. So make a habit of every time you create a headline, do 20.
Well, I'm just answering questions, beg your pardon. From Adam Thorpe, challenge to pain or strong offer. It's been working really well. Wondering whether a pain-driven comment on the headlines would work better. And what would you suggest? From thebrandchap.com. Pain or strong offer in the headline?
Pain every time. Pain every time. I don't want your offer until I know that it's the solution to my problem, and I don't know that your solution to the problem is unless you tell me what the pain is you're solving. Take Ian Jackson. Offer. I can offer you shoe inserts at 300 quid. They're really good. Well, why do I want them? I don't know why I want them. I don't know how. I don't need them. Well, actually, if you've got bad back, you might. Well, okay, well then ask me whether I've got a bad back. Now you've got my attention. Now you've got my attention. You could say, well, if you've got a bad back, if you've been to so for instance, if Ian Jackson could market along the lines of, are you fed up with going to the chiropractors, or let's take a chiropractor? Are you fed up with going to the chiropractors and every he fixes the problem, and then a month later you're back again, and then a month later you're back again. Every month you're back at the chiropractors because they've actually fixed the symptoms. They've not solved the problems. As a chiropractor, we go the next level. We find the answers to what's causing it. And my objective is actually to make myself redundant. Well, actually, you've got my attention now because you're not only fixing my short-term pain, but you're also giving me a solution to fix the problem. But the initial thing is, do you have a bad back? And are you fed up? Are you getting really cheesed off with having to go back again and again and again? And the more that you focus on the emotional side of having to go back to the chiropractors every month, you're connecting with somebody.
I think it's worth saying at this point, Dave, because obviously people have got work to do, that Dave is offering a copy critique of your website, your direct mail piece, your video script, whatever, to start to identify what your pain and emotion points are for your prospects. If that's something you're interested in, it's a 40-minute copy critique. I think we'll say that there is a cost to it. It's under £100 to sit down with Dave one-on-one over the phone and go through bits. If that's something you're interested in, you can email Dave. Have you got or you can put the details, tell us, yes, you're interested in the question box here, or send an email direct to Dave on that address there. That would just sort of start you going, because a few people have said, well, I don't, I'm working on my website, so I don't want to do my video yet. But this critique and this session is not about video scripts particularly. It's about all of your marketing and those headlines and those individual pages. So if that's of interest, please let us know. Drop us a line. Any more questions? I have a question here from Matt Piggott, who's actually got a novel, and he's saying he's as I understand, he's written a novel, and the words on the back of the novel. Can you apply these techniques there of pain and emotion, or is it a different process? I'm sorry to throw that curveball at you, Dave.
So the question is, can you apply it on the back of a book cover?
Yeah. And can you tackle that in a Doodle ad to get people to buy a novel?
And the interesting thing is people think videos or... Okay, do you want to clarify? I'm not quite sure on the
sorry,
question.
no. Matt's just got in touch again. He said, could a Doodle ad be used to promote a novel, where what the end benefit is that they have a novel, but I suppose it's a slightly different process, really. But what's your thought?
Is it? I mean, it's still trying to trigger emotions. If the purpose is to sell the novel, then what you want to do is sell the emotional triggers that you're trying to connect with people that like that particular type of novels. A video, a direct mail piece, a website, there's nothing different. It's still psychology. It's connecting with people. And I'm a great fan of Armin Morin, and maybe not a lot of people actually know him, but he doesn't start. I watch a lot of stuff and read a lot of his materials. He doesn't read marketing books. He reads psychology books, because we're all the same. We have been the same for centuries, millennium. Yeah, we have emotional needs. There's a really good book by Dan Ariely called Predictably Irrational. As a fabulous read, because we all behave the same way. And when you understand that your job is to connect to people's desires and how they then respond, if you want somebody to take a particular response, you've got to make them feel or want to do it, and that's it. And you do it every day of the week. If you want to watch a TV channel, you want to watch the football, you enter in some form of negotiation, and you're doing a marketing case to your wife, to your partner, etc. Why this is necessary? It happens every day. It doesn't matter what medium. It's just another medium, slightly novel medium. That's it. That's why we are different to a lot of people that create cartoon videos in the marketplace, because we understand that at the end of the day, it's the power of the storytelling that's important. A lot of people miss that.
Yeah, and okay, that's great. I've got a couple more questions, but I've also got some websites that we can put up. I don't want to stick you on the spot there, Dave. Did you want to have a look at a couple of websites, or?
Yeah, go for it. Scare me.
Okay, we've got my
Yeah.
hyphen n cube, so the letter N and then the word cube as one word .com.
Is that the one?
Yep.
Okay. Now, this is what I looked at last night. This is how scrolling, if somebody doesn't scroll, that's all they see. So if I land on here, what do I see? Take control so you all stay comfortable. So pinpointing energy savings into a stab in the dark. How hard is it for me to actually see, take control so you're not constantly switching lights on and off? Where's my pain? What's the one piece of pain?
I think one thing, Dave, that I would like to say, having run a web design company, been an online marketer, and so on, and worked with a lot of web designers, in that there is a difference, I suppose, between a brochure, what I call a brochure website, which is your nice, glossy, looks good, represents your brand, and a direct response website or web page. So it may be that that is your nice, soft, cuddly brochure website that people find. But for specific search items, some SEO terms that you want to go for, saving money on my energy, or whatever it might be, or your AdWords, that can go to a page where there is a specific headline that is pain and emotion and is less corporate, cuddly, soft, brochure-y, looks nice, and it's actually smack you between the eyes. Look, this is your problem. So those people that are sort of a bit corporate, scared. Go on.
Yeah, you've actually identified something that's very, very important, that a lot of people have their website. Yeah. And we have different websites. We have a website for Doodle ads. We have a website under the name Whiteboard Animation. You can have lots of different websites, and they can be really targeted and really focused. and they can be, as you said, more direct response sales letter. So I need to encourage people to have more than one website, to have websites that focus on the problems. So my NQ, now I'm taking it that this is some form of environmental control by the looks of things, putting you in control of your home. So you could have a website that talked about saving heat. So somebody might not be searching for taking control, looking for controls in their home. That would be them looking for the solution. A lot of people search for their problems. So how do I save money? How do I save my heating bill? How do I reduce my costs? How do I? You need websites for those as well, for the problems, not the solution. Most websites are the solution. Yeah, and you can have additional 1-page, 2-page, 3-page websites, which are the problems that then lead you on to the solution.
Phillips, whose website this is, has just asked the question, when you say different websites, do you mean a different page or a different URL? Both, either.
Different
really,
URL, both,
yeah. You might want a specific URL, because then you're not sort of conflicting the brand, because if people are browsing through and they see one sort of branded website and then they go onto a page that's very different, it's much more crude and hit you between the eyes, you might not want to look at it that way. But there is no definitive right answer to that. We choose to run it through different URLs.
This highlights another difference between web designers and copywriters.
Yes.
This is all about pictures and imagery. Yeah, and this, putting you in control of your copy is the thing that will actually do the selling. The pictures might be nice and make you look professional, corporate, etc. But it's the words in the copy, as I said at the beginning, it's the words in the copy or in the video that will convince somebody that you have the solution that they're looking for.
Excellent.
Does that make sense?
Yep. We've got rightsim.com.
Like this headline here. What? Sorry, go on.
Carry on. No, I think you've just raised a good point there. What now? It's
right. I request that everybody here today, if they have an opt-in, and they should have some form of report, some reason for somebody to connect you, to go away and examine what they say above their opt-in. Be really hard on yourself. Are you saying in that title above some form of pain? Find out the 5 mistakes somebody made, like Nick's copy, the 5 mistakes business owners make, and how what are the biggest problems. That made me opt in. If you look at it, do you say some pain or that identify some mistakes that people make that will want me to, I will want it. I've got to want to opt in. Are you really offering something that will make me do that? Go back and have a look at it. And if you need my help, give us a shout.
Yeah, I think that phrase "what now" assumes that the selling's already been done. It's like, okay, I'm sold. What now? And obviously that's not the case. You've got to prompt people and tell them, right, the next step is, if you want to, even if it's, find out our prices, find out how we can help you. If you want to start saving money now, if you want to start
bribe.
Yeah, the ethical bribe. That's a good phrase.
Lead magnet report. Okay, do you want to do one more?
Okay, we got RightSim, RITE SIM, RITE SIM, no hyphen, rightsim.com.
Okay, nice. That title, or I land on the page, I see the title. Yeah, using local sims to save it. You could make that a little bit more emotional. Do you get angry when you've travelled abroad and you see your phone bill? You could say, and then a sub-headline, you could save money using local SIM cards. You could save a fortune. But
one of the things I like here, Dave, is
when
you know, what you say about using strong words. I like the phrase "save you a fortune." Not you can save money on calls and texts. It's save you a fortune.
absolutely,
You know, the difference between big and massive is huge. You know, it's
and here's where the difference between a good market, an average marketer and a good marketer. You really should have two versions of this homepage and put two different titles up and see which one works better. Because sometimes you think something works better, but it doesn't. And there is a service available within Google Analytics, Google AdWords, called Website Optimizer. And it's really simple, especially if you're using something like WordPress, to be able to create two identical pages and put two different headlines on, and Google will actually deliver you one version to one person visiting and another version to a second person visiting. The first person will consistently see the same thing, so they won't be confused. And then Google will measure the results you have by somebody opting in or taking your click down, and we'll tell you the winner. You don't have to guess. You can just say, okay, I'm going to run a split test, and if I've got 1,000 people coming to my site over the space of a week or two, run it for a week or two, and see and try different ones, and test different structures in that headline and different emotions, and bit by bit you will get better.
Okay, any more questions? Because we've been going for an hour, twice as long as we expected. Thank you, everybody. About 95% of people have stuck around, so thank you for that. I'm sorry, I can't remember who it was now, but was expecting you to doodle. But trust me, you don't want Dave Kite to be doodling. His power is in the his power is in his words, not in his artistic talents. So. Any more questions from anybody? And like I say, if you did want a critique of your marketing, email david.kite@doodle-ads.co.uk, or drop me a message in here, and we'll make sure you send out the details. I
will follow up with the list. We'll follow up. We'll send you the 5 questions. We'll also send you the structure. In an email. I'll also see if I can get a copy of the Wall Street Journal.
I've got that actually. I've sent it out. I'll send it out to people. I've sent it out to a couple of people during the call. Also, if you go to youtube.com/doodleads, all one word, there's a number of videos there that you can sit and listen to the scripts, and you can hear the way that that Dave works in those scripts, and see whether it gets you emotionally, and see whether it would encourage you to take action. There's a variety of industries there. There may be one that relates to you that you can get some ideas from.
Okay.
My favourite doodle ad. I've just been asked.
I've just
been asked my favourite doodle ad. It's one that we're not allowed to show in public, but it was for a pensions advice company, specifically to the Newcastle region, and it told the story of supporting your football club being passed down from generation to generation, your season ticket and so on, particularly as passionate they are in Newcastle, and related that to money. It wasn't pension, was it? It was inheritance tax. Wills and inheritance tax, and protecting your money. And it was a 3-minute video, and it was absolutely fantastic. The way that the drawing and the emotion worked together, and knitted that story together, I think was fantastic. But unfortunately, we can't show it to you.
Just as a parting thought, when you're creating your headlines and your titles, we have the habit of sticking our telephone number in there. So when somebody does a search, you can see there's multiple instances of telephone numbers. In fact, it's in there, and it's in there, and it's in there. So they don't even need to click on you to actually come through. And if you see, we've got a website, a YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, images. There are so many different ways you can use Vimeo. There are so many ways that you can use video. And if you want to talk to us about it, we'd be more than happy to talk to you about your story. So we'll wind that up, if that's okay. Hopefully the recording will come out, and we'll do something with it, and we'll let you know what we do with it.
Thank you, everybody. And hope to speak to you all again soon.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good afternoon, and have a really good Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Cheers.
Bye.